Okay. Fun little looping thing there. In today's technique video, I guess you could call it a technique video, we're going to be focusing more on ambient aspects of guitar playing with an EBow. So if you watch the Lights Out video, I kind of touched on the EBow a little bit. There's like a really cool solo in there. It's kind of more just like an ambient kind of background thing that's happening on the second chorus of Lights Out. These things are awesome. I've used them all throughout our records, whether you can like really hear it or not. They're just meant to add a texture underneath the song, and nothing does it quite like this. The closest thing that I can think of is obviously it's mimicking a bow like on a cello or a violin, hence EBow. And there's two settings on it. If you're holding it like this, the setting up towards you is just a normal octave, and then the switch all the way down is a higher octave. Let me give you an example of that real quick. Here's just the normal octave. Alright, and then now here is the same note, but in the higher octave setting. And that's pretty cool. So if I was to like loop the lower octave and the higher octave, it's just, there's so much harmonics to it. It's so beautiful sounding. So let me just loop in the low one first. Here comes the high octave. So the way to use these, obviously, if you guys have one and you know how to use it, you can disregard my explanation. But I'll get into cool ways that you may not have used it before. So for those of you who are new with this, again, you can get these at Guitar Center, Sweetwater. I think they're $49. They might be more now. But there's a groove here in the middle, and that's where your target string goes. So, you know, if it was the A string, that groove would be over the A string, the D string, G, and B. Now, I found this thing does not work. At least I can't get it to work on the outside strings, so like the low E and the high E. To me, it works the best on the G and the B strings. There's just something, it has enough give and just vibrates the string to where you can get to the note immediately. Now, another thing that you can do with these is actually kind of treat it like a bow. So as opposed to just holding it in one spot, which is totally cool, you can really work the note by moving it back and forth. It's going to be more aggressive when you get over the pickup that's selected. Let me move to my neck pickup and you'll see what I mean. So I'm pretty far back. As I get closer to that neck pickup, it's going to start to get more aggressive. Same goes with the bridge pickup. So I'm going to start back. I'm going to get closer to it. So that's a good way to kind of control the dynamics and mellowness or aggressiveness with the EBow. So now, I mentioned in the Lights Out video that the EBow is excellent with slide guitar. It's super cool because you can just infinitely hold that note and like slide up to stuff. I have some analog delay on and give you guys an example of what slide sounds like. pretty awesome. I also love the EBow because in a couple previous videos I emphasized practicing scales on like one string at a time. This is a great way to add a new flair to those exercises. And now I'm gonna show you guys a trick to make the EBow super interesting. So I have a couple pedals on my little pedal board right now. Everything you've heard so far has just been with my Boss Blues driver. Next in line, I have a TC Electronic Quintessence, which I'm going to be doing some harmonizing with the EBow, just with that pedal. And then I'm going to dial in a drone with a freeze, like you heard in the intro video, and then just some analog delay. And so you can get the EBow sound going from that nice, beautiful, you know, good as it is sound to something like this. That's just with a major third harmony on the Quintessence. And then I have the delay set about like this. Pretty slow for an analog delay. All right, so let's have some fun here. Let me just dial in a drone. That's my freeze pedal. If you don't have one, get one. They're amazing. Great for practice. It's all just on one string. Again, amazing practice for familiarizing yourself up and down the fretboard on one string. You don't need to be going like string to string. You can't with this. You can only do one string at a time. It would be cool if they invented one that does two though. So now I'm gonna dial in some of the Quintessence, the harmonizer, and also pay attention. You can do tons of like vibrato with the EBow, and you can also bend up to notes at a certain point. Check this out. It's very Robert Fripp, David Bowie Heroes kind of vibe. Let's add the harmony in there. So it also works really, really well with acoustic guitars as well. You don't just need an electric. That's the EBow. Works on both electric and acoustic. Try it on cello. Try it on violin. even piano strings would be really, really cool. You can get some nice ambient, weird kind of string bouncing textures. Anyway, I hope that this was a fun video. I try to make them pretty fun every now and then. If you don't have an EBow, check one out. They're super fun. I'm sure that you've got a friend who has one. Borrow it. And they're great ways to add texture and ambience to your tracks.